Authenticity is your greatest power, and yet so many people underestimate it. They underestimate the value of simply being themselves. From the moment we are born, we are molded, shaped, and often pressured to fit into boxes created by others. Families, schools, workplaces, and society at large all have their definitions of what is acceptable, what is right, what is successful. But in the pursuit of fitting in, many people lose sight of their own unique brilliance. They trade their individuality for approval, comfort, or a false sense of belonging. Being authentic is not just about showing your face or saying what's on your mind. It's about embracing the totality of who you are. Your quirks, your habits, your passions, your failures, and even your fears, they are all pieces of a puzzle that is uniquely yours. When you attempt to hide any piece of that puzzle, you diminish your own power. There is a strength in owning your story, even the parts that others might judge or misunderstand. Authenticity is not perfection, it is integrity. Many people confuse authenticity with arrogance. They think that being themselves means being loud, brash, or controversial. In truth, authenticity is quieter and far more profound. It is an inner knowing, a clarity about your values, your purpose, and your direction. It is the steady confidence that comes from being grounded in who you are, independent of external validation. People who are authentic do not seek attention, they radiate presence. The world responds differently to those who are authentic. Opportunities appear that never existed before. Doors open without force, conversations flow without pretense, and relationships deepen in a way that feels effortless. People are drawn to authenticity because it signals truth. When you are genuine, you are telling the world, I am reliable, I am real, and I am trustworthy. That magnetism cannot be bought, copied, or faked. Many successful people will tell you that their breakthrough came when they stopped trying to be what others wanted them to be and started embracing what made them unique. The world is full of voices telling you how to live, how to act, how to dress, how to speak, and even how to think. To step into authenticity is to step out of the noise and find your own frequency. It is the courage to declare that your existence has value simply because it is yours, unfiltered and undiluted. Being authentic is also a journey of self-discovery. It requires asking yourself hard questions and being honest about the answers. What do you truly love? What drives you? What are your non-negotiables? It is easy to follow a path that others have paved, but it takes courage to carve your own. Authenticity demands reflection, patience, and at times, a willingness to walk alone. Yet this journey, however difficult, is the only path that leads to true fulfillment. Fear often stands in the way of authenticity. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of failure. These fears are real, but they are not stronger than your innate worth. Every time you choose to act from your authentic self despite fear, you grow. Every time you embrace your true thoughts, your real emotions, and your genuine ideas, you expand your influence and your confidence. Fear is simply a signal that you are stepping into the space where your power lives. Authenticity also strengthens resilience. When you know yourself, when you are anchored in who you are, challenges become easier to navigate. Criticism from others loses its sting because you no longer define your value by external approval. Life will always test you, but an authentic foundation cannot be shaken by the opinions of those who do not understand your path. You become unshakable not because you are immune to difficulty, but because your identity is rooted in truth. Another element of authenticity is vulnerability. To be yourself anywhere, you must be willing to show the world your humanity. Vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, but it is actually a form of strength. It communicates courage and invites connection. When you are willing to be open about your struggles, your doubts, and your imperfections, you inspire others to do the same. Authenticity thrives in the space where fear and honesty meet. Authenticity also demands consistency. Being yourself is not an act you switch on and off depending on the room or the audience. It is a lifestyle, a standard, a practice. The more consistent you are in expressing your truth, the more people come to recognize and respect you. You create a reputation that is reliable and powerful, not because of superficial charm, but because of the integrity of your character. Many times society tells us that being authentic is risky, that it is dangerous, that it is impractical. But the opposite is true. Pretending to be someone else is far more dangerous. It drains energy, erodes confidence, and leaves a lingering sense of emptiness. Living authentically aligns your inner world with your outer actions. It creates coherence, peace, and a deep sense of satisfaction. It is the path to living with purpose, not just passing time. Authenticity also invites creativity. When you are not constrained by expectations, your ideas flow more freely. You take risks that others avoid, you innovate where others imitate, and you lead where others follow. Originality emerges naturally from the courage to be yourself. The world does not reward the person who merely copies, it rewards those who dare to bring something new and true. Being authentic requires reflection and courage, but it also requires action. You cannot claim to be yourself in theory, you must live it in practice. Every interaction, every decision, every step you take is an opportunity to embody your authentic self. It is not a single moment, but a series of daily choices to align with your truth, even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. True authenticity also inspires others. When people witness someone who lives openly and courageously as themselves, it empowers them to do the same. Authenticity is contagious. It plants seeds of courage, confidence, and freedom in those around you. By embracing your own truth, you contribute to a culture where honesty and individuality are valued and celebrated. Authenticity is ultimately about respect for yourself and for the world. By being yourself, you honor the unique gift you bring. You do not diminish yourself to fit expectations, and you do not diminish others by trying to conform. You participate fully in life from a place of strength, clarity, and purpose. Every choice you make in alignment with your true self amplifies your impact and your potential. Courage over conformity is the choice that separates those who live with purpose from those who drift through life unnoticed. Conformity is comfortable, it is easy, it asks very little of you beyond showing up in the expected ways, following the rules, and blending in with the crowd. Courage, on the other hand, demands everything. It asks you to stand tall when it is easier to bend, to speak your truth when silence feels safer, and D, to take action when hesitation is more comfortable. Courage is the muscle that strengthens authenticity, and it grows only when you choose it consistently. Every day, people face countless moments where conformity calls. At work, in social settings, and even within families, there is pressure to say what is expected, act as everyone else acts, and hide opinions that might cause friction. The lure of conformity is that it protects you from judgment, rejection, and conflict. Yet every time you choose to conform, a piece of yourself is surrendered. That surrender might seem small in the moment, but over time it builds a life that feels hollow and unfulfilled. Courage is the antidote to that emptiness. Courage over conformity is not about reckless rebellion or defiance for its own sake. It is about the quiet, deliberate act of choosing to live in alignment with your principles, values, and vision, regardless of external pressure. It is the willingness to endure temporary discomfort for long-term integrity. Every time you choose courage, you reinforce your identity. You declare, without words, that you will not be swayed by the opinions of the majority or by societal expectations that do not serve your purpose. History is filled with examples of ordinary people who chose courage over conformity and changed the world. They faced ridicule, threats, and isolation, yet they refused to compromise their truth. Their bravery reshaped societies, created movements, and inspired generations. Every time you resist the pull to conform, you are connecting with that same energy, that same strength that has always fueled progress and transformation. Courage is timeless, and it belongs to anyone willing to claim it. Choosing courage over conformity begins internally. It starts with self-awareness, understanding where your boundaries lie, recognizing what aligns with your values, and D, identifying the areas where fear is dictating your behavior. Conformity thrives in the absence of self-knowledge. When you do not know who you are or what you stand for, the opinions of others become your guide. Courage begins when you decide that your internal compass is stronger than the external pressures surrounding you. Courage often feels uncomfortable at first because it pushes you into unfamiliar territory. It requires taking risks, facing criticism, and enduring the judgment of those who are invested in the status quo. Many people retreat at the first sign of resistance, choosing the temporary comfort of conformity over the lasting fulfillment of courage. But every step you take in the direction of courage, no matter how small, strengthens your resolve. Fear may never completely disappear, but it loses power over time as courage becomes habitual. Conformity can be seductive because it promises safety and acceptance. But the reality is that conformity comes at a cost, the cost of your individuality, your creativity, and your potential. The people who achieve extraordinary results are rarely those who played it safe. They are the ones who dared to go against the grain, who refused to compromise their principles, and who trusted their instincts even when the world doubted them. Courage over conformity is the key that unlocks this level of achievement. Courage also reshapes relationships. When you consistently act from a place of integrity and authenticity, the people who surround you are naturally filtered. Those who respect and align with your values stay, while those who thrive on conformity and control drift away. This process can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Courage teaches you that you do not need everyone's approval to validate your path. The relationships built on mutual respect and shared principles are far stronger and more meaningful than those built on convenience or compliance. Choosing courage requires action. It is not enough to think about being brave or to feel inspired by examples of courage. Courage is proven through behavior, through speaking up when silence would be easier, stepping forward when hesitation calls, and making decisions that honor your truth, even when the outcome is uncertain. Each act of courage reinforces your capacity to resist conformity, and over time, it becomes part of your character. Courage over conformity also fosters creativity and innovation. Conformity encourages repetition, imitation, and predictability. Courage, however, is the catalyst for new ideas, new approaches, and breakthroughs that challenge conventional thinking. When you refuse to conform, you give yourself permission to experiment, to fail, and to learn in ways that others never dare. Courage fuels progress, and without it, growth is stunted by fear and limitation. The practice of courage also strengthens resilience. Life is unpredictable, and there will always be challenges, obstacles, and criticism. Conformity may protect you temporarily, but it does not prepare you for adversity. Courage equips you with the mental and emotional fortitude to endure setbacks, overcome resistance, and persevere in the face of difficulty. Every time you choose courage over conformity, you are building resilience that will serve you for a lifetime. Courage over conformity is a form of self-respect. It communicates that your values, ideas, and vision are worthy of being honored, regardless of what others think. It sends a message not only to the world, but also to yourself, that you will not shrink to meet expectations, that you will not compromise your integrity, and that you recognize your inherent worth. This internal respect becomes the foundation for every decision and every interaction. Courage is contagious. When you consistently choose courage over conformity, you inspire others to do the same. Your example becomes a beacon, encouraging those around you to take ownership of their truth, to act boldly, and to reject the pressures that stifle their potential. Courage has a ripple effect, impacting communities, organizations, and even entire cultures when it is exercised with conviction and consistency. The practice of courage requires constant vigilance. Conformity is subtle and persistent. It can creep into thoughts, habits, and decisions without you realizing it. The world is full of voices telling you how to behave, what to prioritize, and how to measure success. Courage demands that you listen to your inner voice instead of the crowd. It is a daily commitment to resist the pull of convenience, safety, or approval in favor of authenticity, integrity, and impact. Courage over conformity is a lifelong pursuit. There will always be moments when fear whispers louder than conviction, when the pressure to conform feels overwhelming, and when the path of least resistance tempts you. In these moments, courage must be chosen deliberately. It is in these moments that character is forged, influence is built, and destiny is claimed. Courage is not a single act. It is a way of living, a commitment to honor your truth above all else, and to stand boldly in your purpose even when no one else will. Authenticity attracts opportunity because the world has an instinct for recognizing what is real. People, organizations, and circumstances are drawn to those who operate from a place of truth, clarity, and integrity. When you show up as your genuine self, you emit a signal that cannot be faked, a signal that tells others that you are trustworthy, capable, and aligned with your purpose. This magnetic quality is not learned in a classroom or acquired through strategy. It is a byproduct of living authentically. Many people spend their lives chasing opportunities, networking tirelessly, or trying to impress others, yet they fail to attract the doors they desire. The missing element is authenticity. You can study every technique, follow every blueprint, and execute every tactic perfectly, but if you are not aligned with your true self, your efforts will often fall flat. Authenticity acts like a filter, attracting the right opportunities while naturally repelling what does not serve you. Opportunities appear when your values, actions, and presence are consistent. People sense when someone is genuine versus when they are performing a role or wearing a mask. Authenticity communicates reliability. When others know that you are consistent in who you are and what you stand for, they are more likely to entrust you with responsibilities, collaborations, and chances to grow. Opportunity flows to those who demonstrate a dependable alignment between their words and their actions. Living authentically also increases visibility. When you stop hiding behind societal expectations, fear, or imitation, your unique strengths and talents become undeniable. The more clearly you express yourself, the more people notice you. Not everyone will respond positively, but those who do are often the very individuals, communities, or organizations that can propel you to the next level. Authenticity sharpens your presence, making it impossible for the right opportunities to overlook you. Authenticity attracts opportunity because it fosters trust. When people see that you are genuine, they feel safe investing in you, whether it is with time, resources, collaboration, or mentorship. Trust is the currency of every meaningful opportunity. Without it, doors may open momentarily, but they rarely lead to lasting or impactful outcomes. Authenticity is the key that unlocks the deeper levels of truth that are required for transformative growth. Authenticity also attracts opportunity by aligning you with the right audience. When you are true to yourself, you naturally connect with people who resonate with your energy, mission, and vision. These are the people who can help you expand, who can challenge you constructively, and who can provide support when needed. By being authentic, you create a network not built on convenience or superficial connections, but on mutual alignment and genuine respect. Opportunities thrive on clarity of purpose, and authenticity provides that clarity. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you act decisively, make choices confidently, and communicate your value clearly. This decisiveness attracts opportunities because people and organizations are drawn to clarity and direction. They prefer individuals who understand themselves and their path, not those who are uncertain, indecisive, or inconsistent. Authenticity is a compass that guides opportunity directly to you. Authenticity eliminates wasted energy. When you stop pretending, trying to fit in, or overcompensating to gain approval, you conserve time and focus. This energy can then be redirected toward actions that truly matter, toward projects and opportunities that resonate with your strengths, and toward people who genuinely support your growth. The more aligned you are, the more effectively you can act, and the more naturally opportunities begin to emerge. Living authentically also cultivates a sense of confidence that is palpable. Confidence attracts attention and interest. When you operate from a place of self-assuredness and integrity, others instinctively recognize that you are someone worth investing in. Confidence does not come from boasting or showing off. It comes from a deep alignment with your values, skills, and purpose. This alignment acts like a magnet, drawing opportunities that match your potential. Authenticity allows for the freedom to take risks. Many opportunities require stepping into the unknown or attempting something outside your comfort zone. When you are authentic, fear of judgment diminishes because your actions are rooted in truth rather than in the desire to conform. You are willing to take bold steps because your sense of self is unwavering. This willingness to act boldly creates openings for opportunity that those who remain cautious or insincere may never encounter. Opportunities often appear in unexpected ways when you are authentic. The world responds to genuine energy, even in places where you might not be actively seeking advancement. People notice realness in conversations, decisions, and behaviors. A single act of integrity or a clear demonstration of your unique abilities can trigger connections, collaborations, or offers that might have seemed impossible. Authenticity sets the stage for serendipity. Authenticity also invites mentorship and guidance. People are more inclined to invest their time and wisdom in those who are real, consistent, and principled. They see the potential for growth in someone who is grounded in their truth, and they are motivated to support that journey. Opportunities often come in the form of relationships, and authentic individuals are more likely to attract mentors who can accelerate their path. Authenticity reduces friction in interactions. When you are honest about who you are, you eliminate miscommunication, misunderstandings, and mismatched expectations. People know what to expect from you, and this clarity fosters smoother collaborations, better negotiations, and more fruitful engagements. The easier it is to work with you, the more likely opportunities will come your way because people prefer to align with those who are genuine and reliable. Authenticity creates a long-term foundation for success. Opportunities that are attracted through authenticity are sustainable. They are not fleeting moments built on deception or performance. They are real, lasting, and mutually beneficial. When you continue to operate with integrity and transparency, you build a reputation that precedes you. Doors open repeatedly, not because of temporary charm, but because your authenticity has earned enduring respect and recognition. Authenticity transforms challenges into opportunities. When you are grounded in who you are, setbacks are reframed as lessons rather than failures. You approach challenges with a mindset that is proactive, innovative, and resilient. People notice this mindset, and opportunities often follow those who demonstrate the ability to navigate adversity while remaining true to themselves. Authenticity is the lens through which obstacles are converted into openings, growth, and progress. Imitation limits success because no one can reach their full potential by trying to be someone else. When you imitate, you confine yourself to a life that is not yours. You follow paths that may have worked for others, but do not align with your unique gifts, talents, and vision. Success is never about copying someone else's blueprint. It is about discovering and executing your own. Every moment spent imitating is a moment spent delaying your true achievement. People often imitate because it feels safe. It is easier to follow proven strategies, mimic behaviors, or replicate habits of those who have already succeeded. But safety comes at a cost. Imitation may provide temporary results, but it cannot sustain long-term growth or fulfillment. The more you try to be a replica of someone else, the more you distance yourself from the very qualities that make you extraordinary. Success is rooted in originality. The world is already saturated with copies of others. Imitators are competing in a crowded space where their efforts blend into the noise. True leaders, innovators, and game changers stand out precisely because they refuse to mimic and instead embrace what is uniquely theirs. Originality is not a luxury. It is a necessity for impact and distinction. Imitation also stifles creativity. When you copy others, you are limited by their experiences, their thinking, and their methods. You deprive yourself of the chance to innovate, to think differently, and to approach challenges from a fresh perspective. Creativity flourishes in the space where authenticity meets courage, and imitation blocks both. The world rewards those who bring new ideas, not recycled versions of old ones. Many people imitate because they fear failure. They believe that if they follow the footsteps of someone successful, they can avoid mistakes. But failure is not something to avoid. It is a teacher, a guide, and a necessary component of real growth. Those who imitate often fail to learn from authentic experimentation because their focus is on reproduction rather than discovery. True success requires the willingness to risk, to try, and to fail on your own terms. Imitation limits confidence. When you are constantly comparing yourself to someone else, or measuring your value against their standards, you erode your self-belief. You begin to question whether you are capable, talented, or worthy. Success requires confidence built on self-awareness, experience, and authenticity. Without it, you will struggle to take bold actions, make decisive moves, or seize opportunities that align with your purpose. Success achieved through imitation is fragile. It depends on conditions, trends, and the approval of others. Once those external factors shift, imitated success can collapse because it is not rooted in personal strength or unique value. Authentic achievement, by contrast, is resilient. It is anchored in your skills, perspective, and contributions, elements that no one can replicate or take away. Imitation also prevents connection with your true audience. People are naturally drawn to authenticity. They recognize when someone is performing, copying, or acting out of obligation rather than passion. Relationships, partnerships, and opportunities thrive when there is real alignment, not when one party is imitating another. Being yourself, rather than a reflection of someone else, ensures that the right doors open and the right people come into your life. Imitation creates internal conflict. You may appear successful on the outside, but inside you feel a disconnect between who you are and who you are pretending to be. This internal struggle generates doubt, stress, and dissatisfaction. The more you imitate, the further you drift from your purpose and the life you are truly meant to live. Success without alignment is hollow, and imitation rarely leads to deep fulfillment. Real influence is impossible through imitation. When you mimic others, your impact is limited to the shadow of their ideas and reputation. You may gain attention temporarily, but you will never inspire or lead effectively because your message is not truly yours. Influence comes from originality, conviction, and authenticity, qualities that imitation suppresses. Imitation encourages dependency. When you model your actions entirely after someone else, you rely on their methods, their thinking, and their example. This dependence prevents you from developing independent judgment, creativity, and leadership. True success is born from self-reliance and the ability to navigate challenges using your own insights, not someone else's. Imitation also slows growth. When you follow someone else's path, you miss the lessons and experiences that see from charting your own course. Personal development is accelerated when you face unique challenges, solve problems with your own creativity, and learn directly from the consequences of your choices. Copying others deprives you of these essential growth experiences. Many people imitate out of fear of judgment. They worry that if they act differently, they will be criticized or rejected. But the pursuit of approval through imitation comes at the cost of authenticity and true achievement. Those who succeed at the highest levels embrace their differences, stand firm in their vision, and act despite the fear of judgment. Courage to be original always trumps the comfort of conformity. Imitation limits vision. By focusing on what someone else has achieved, you restrict your imagination to their framework. You measure success by their standards rather than envisioning your own. Visionaries do not follow. They create. They see possibilities that others cannot because they are unbound by the limitations of imitation. Success is the ability to dream boldly and act decisively on your own terms. Imitation suppresses the unique gifts you were born to offer. Every individual has talents, perspectives, and insights that no one else can replicate. When you imitate, you hide these gifts from the world, denying yourself the chance to make a meaningful impact. The path to extraordinary success is paved not by following someone else's footsteps, but by walking confidently in your own. Realness inspires others because authenticity is contagious. When you show up fully as yourself, people notice even if they cannot articulate why. There is a magnetic energy that surrounds someone who is unapologetically genuine. Others are drawn not to perfection, but to courage, to honesty, and to the willingness to stand openly in one's truth. Realness communicates a level of confidence and integrity that cannot be taught or imitated. Many people underestimate the impact of simply being themselves. They think that they must perform, impress, or conform to influence others. The truth is, influence is born from authenticity. When people see someone living in alignment with their values and vision, it validates the possibility for them to do the same. Realness sets a precedent and creates a ripple effect that encourages others to shed their masks and embrace their own truth. Realness inspires because it normalizes vulnerability. When you allow yourself to be seen, flaws and all, you give others permission to do the same. People often hide behind facades out of fear of judgment, but seeing someone else embrace their imperfections without shame challenges that fear. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is strength that demonstrates courage, and invites connection on a deeper, more meaningful level. Consistency amplifies the power of realness. When your actions match your words over time, people notice. They see that you are not performing for attention or validation, but that you are living from a place of integrity. This consistency builds trust, admiration, and inspiration. Those around you begin to measure their own authenticity against the example you provide, and your influence grows naturally. Realness inspires leadership. True leaders do not demand respect. They earn it through honesty and authenticity. People are naturally drawn to those who are transparent, dependable, and committed to their values. By showing up as yourself, you create a standard for leadership that is based not on authority or title, but on integrity, courage, and example. Others want to follow those who are real because they see the potential for genuine guidance and growth. The power of realness lies in its simplicity. You do not need flashy tactics, over-the-top gestures, or perform out of acts to inspire. You simply need to exist as the truest version of yourself and allow your presence, words, and actions to align. This simplicity communicates clarity and honesty, and it resonates more deeply than any carefully crafted image or pretense ever could. Realness also inspires creativity and innovation. When you operate from a place of authenticity, you are free to express your unique ideas without fear of judgment or rejection. Others see this courage and are encouraged to think differently themselves. Authentic expression invites originality, and originality fosters an environment where possibilities expand, solutions multiply, and creativity flourishes. When you are real, you demonstrate resilience. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable, but facing them openly and honestly shows others how to navigate difficulties without compromising integrity. People are inspired not by someone who avoids struggle, but by someone who confronts it with authenticity and perseverance. Realness teaches that obstacles are opportunities for growth and learning, not reasons to hide or conform. Realness inspires connection. People crave genuine relationships, but they are often surrounded by facades and pretense. When you show up as your true self, it attracts others who value honesty, transparency, and mutual respect. These connections are deeper, more meaningful, and more sustainable. Inspiration flows naturally from the quality of the relationships you cultivate when you are authentic. Realness cultivates courage in others. Witnessing someone embrace themselves fully encourages others to step out of their comfort zones. It provides a model for bravery, showing that it's possible to live openly, speak honestly, and act boldly. Every act of authenticity becomes a silent lesson for those observing, creating a culture of courage that spreads beyond just your immediate circle. Realness challenges societal norms. When you reject the pressure to conform and instead embrace your individuality, you set an example for others to question expectations that do not serve them. People are inspired to break free from limitations, redefine success, and pursue paths that align with their unique talents and passions. The courage to be real often sparks a chain reaction of empowerment in those who witness it. Realness inspires accountability. When you live openly and take responsibility for your actions, others see the importance of integrity in their own lives. They are encouraged to own their decisions, face their mistakes, and act in alignment with their values. Authenticity demonstrates that success is not just about achievement, but about being accountable to oneself and others. Realness builds confidence. When people observe someone unapologetically embracing their identity, it validates the power of self-belief. They recognize that authenticity is not only admirable, but also attainable. The courage to live openly helps others believe in their own capacity to stand firm, make bold choices, and pursue their dreams without fear of judgment. Realness fosters trust. People are inspired by those who are consistent, transparent, and genuine because it signals reliability. Trust is the foundation for influence, opportunity, and meaningful impact. When you operate from authenticity, others are more likely to follow, collaborate, and invest in the relationships, projects, or missions you represent. Realness inspires legacy. The mark you leave on the world is defined not by imitation, compliance, or pretense, but by the courage to be authentic. Others are influenced by the example you set, carrying forward lessons of courage, honesty, and individuality. Inspiration that comes from realness endures, shaping the paths of those who come after you in ways that performance and imitation never could. Taking decisive action is the bridge between dreams and reality. Ideas, visions, and plans remain abstract and powerless until they are executed with intention. Many people spend years planning, analyzing, and waiting for the perfect moment. Yet opportunity does not wait. Decisive action is what transforms potential into tangible results. Without it, brilliance remains dormant and purpose remains unfulfilled. Action begins with clarity. You cannot move decisively if you are unsure of your destination. Knowing what you want, why you want it, and what success looks like is the first step. Clarity fuels confidence, and confidence fuels action. The more precise your vision, the easier it becomes to make decisions quickly and act without hesitation. Decisive action flows from a mind that has been focused and clear. Many people hesitate because of fear, the fear of failure, judgment, or making the wrong choice. Fear is natural, but it becomes destructive when it paralyzes you. Decisive action is the antidote to fear. Each step taken, no matter how small, reduces uncertainty and builds momentum. Courage does not eliminate fear, it moves forward in spite of it. The act of moving boldly signals to your mind and the world that you are committed to your path. Decisive action is rooted in responsibility. It requires owning your decisions and understanding that your life will move forward only if you take control. Waiting for others, waiting for the perfect circumstances, or waiting for external validation leaves your potential stagnant. When you take responsibility and act, you reclaim authority over your life and your results. Action is not always glamorous or dramatic. Often, it begins with small, consistent steps taken daily. It is the accumulation of these steps that creates momentum. Each completed task, each effort made toward your vision compounds over time, building progress that cannot be ignored. Decisive action values consistency over perfection because momentum favors those who move rather than those who wait. Taking decisive action also means embracing imperfection. Many people stall because they feel unprepared or inadequate. Action requires a willingness to start before you feel fully ready. Success rarely arrives in perfect conditions. It is forged through the willingness to begin, adjust, and persist. The first step, however imperfect, is often the most powerful because it breaks inertia. Action creates learning. No matter the outcome, each decision and step taken provides feedback, experience, and insight. Analysis without implementation is futile, but decisive action produces growth. Mistakes are no longer failures, they are lessons. The courage to act transforms uncertainty into clarity and challenges into opportunities for improvement. Momentum is a key benefit of decisive action. Once you begin, the energy generated by movement propels you forward. Action creates new possibilities, uncovers hidden resources, and opens doors that were previously invisible. Those who hesitate miss out on the cumulative power of momentum, while those who act decisively find that each step makes the next one easier, faster, and more impactful. Decisive action signals confidence to others. People are drawn to those who move with purpose, who make decisions quickly, and who commit fully. This inspires trust, collaboration, and alignment. Opportunities are more likely to come to those who are seen as proactive rather than passive because action demonstrates capability and reliability. Action also strengthens resilience. When you consistently take steps toward your goals, you develop the ability to recover from setbacks, adjust strategies, and persist under pressure. Decisive action trains your mind and spirit to endure challenges because every step taken builds experience, wisdom, and courage. Resilience and momentum are cultivated hand in hand through deliberate action. Decisive action requires prioritization. Not every step carries equal weight, and not every opportunity aligns with your vision. The ability to focus on what matters most ensures that your efforts are strategic rather than scattered. Decisive action is not just about moving, it is about moving with intention, direction, and purpose. Strategic action multiplies results while wasted energy dilutes progress. Action demands accountability. It requires measuring results, evaluating progress, and adjusting as necessary. Those who take decisive action track outcomes, learn from their experiences, and refine their approach continuously. Accountability transforms action from random effort into powerful momentum that drives sustained success. Decisive action is contagious. When others witness someone moving boldly toward their goals, it inspires them to act as well. Action creates an environment of energy, possibility, and courage. Those who lead by example demonstrate that results are achieved not by waiting or wishing, but by doing, committing, and persisting. Taking decisive action also fosters courage in the long term. Each decision made and step taken reinforces belief in your ability to handle uncertainty and overcome obstacles. Courage is built through experience, and experience is gained through action. The more you act decisively, the more confident and capable you become, and the more naturally success follows. Ultimately, decisive action transforms ideas into reality potent, ideal into achievement, and vision into legacy. It is the tangible force that bridges thought and result, intention and outcome. Action is the proof that you are committed to your purpose, willing to risk, and determined to create the life you envision. Each step, each choice, and each effort compounds, generating a trajectory of growth, influence, and impact that no waiting, wishing, or hesitation can ever achieve.